Hello friends. Now that you are familiarized with basics of yfinance, we will now use yfinance library to extract data for a number of tickers. And in any algorithm that you'll be working on or in any quantitative finance project that you will take on, it is expected that you will have to get data for more than one tickers, right? So it's a given that you will need data for, like, this is just 5 or 6 tickers, you will need data for 50 or 100 tickers, right? So it's very important that you understand how you can use a piece of code to extract data for a number of stocks, and this is what we'll discuss in this lecture video. Okay, so one more thing is that I get a lot of questions from people who trade not just on the US market but on other markets as well. It's about can we get data for non-US listed stocks? The answer is very much yes, right? All you need is the relevant Yahoo Finance ticker for that particular stock. So, for example, if you go to Yahoo Finance, and I think if you go for Infosys, which is a Indian stock, you can see that it is usually Indian stocks which are listed on National Stock Exchange. You will see that they are suffixed by ns, right? Hong Kong listed stocks, Hang Seng listed stocks. So what? Tell me one company. So Bank of China, right? So Bank of China, like, it will be usually you will see that they are they have a suffix of .hk, right? So in this example, let me have like some tickers which are non-US as well, and see if we are able to get the information or not. And I can assure you that you'll be able to extract information for any stock as long as you provide the right Yahoo Finance ticker. Okay, because essentially what this library is doing is that it's simply getting data from Yahoo. If the data is there on Yahoo, you will get it. If it's not, you won't get it. Okay, so so we'll be importing yfinance library, and then we'll be also importing pandas library, and I'll show you why we need pandas, right? One another library that you see that I've imported in this case is date time, right? If you recall in the previous lecture, we were providing hard coded dates, right? Start date and end date. That is not recommended, right? Typically, when you are working on a code, if you are providing date value, you should start using date time library, right? It's an absolutely fascinating library. It's a date time specific library, and then you can pass date in pretty much any format: YYY, MMDD, YY, MMDD, DD, MMYY, whatever, right? There are ways to read data first, read data in a given format, and then store them as a date time module. But if you're interested, just go through date time and see what are the various fascinating things that can be done using date time. Okay, but here we'll be using a pretty straightforward application of date time. Okay, so first of all, we are creating a variable called stocks, and in this variable we are storing all the tickers for which I want the data, right? This can be 30, this can be 50, this can be 100. You can have as many stocks as you want, right? For each stock it takes around 10 milliseconds, so you will have to take into account the time that will be required. Okay, then the start date and end date. So you need to provide the start date and end date, right? The way using date time, you all you need is to use the today function, and it will give you today's date, right? So for example, actually let me have an alias because it's getting a bit confusing. So dt dt. Okay, so let me first import date time, right? So once you import date time, right, you will see that within date time there is a date time method, right? And within date time method there are a lot of functions, right? if you use today if you use today, right, it will give you, and if you run this, it will give you today's date, right? Whatever is the date in your system. So you can see it's 25th April 2020. This is the time. Okay, so using so all I'm doing is that I'm defining the end date as today's date. Okay, which means I want the data for these stocks till today. Okay, what about the start date? So start date we will provide by giving today's date minus certain day. So I want 30 days from today, right? So I want to go 30 days back, and from 30 days back I want data till today, right? And for that we'll use date times time delta module, right? So time delta will do nothing but just subtract today's date from whatever value you provide here. So let's have 360, let's have 1 year of data. Okay, so if I run this, so right now today is 25th April 2020, so I expect this value to be 25th April 2019 or something close to that, right? So yeah, so if you subtract 360 days, it's 1st May 2019. I didn't do 365, otherwise it would have been 25th April. Okay, so this is how we have kind of defined the start date and end date. Okay, now we will initiate, we'll create a variable which will be a blank data frame. Again, if you are not familiar with pandas data frame data type, right, it's strongly recommended that you familiarize yourself with pandas data frame, because we'll be using this a lot. This is my preferred way of storing data, right? And data frame is a really powerful uh, pandas object, right? It has a lot of functionalities which makes your life really easy, right? So I'll strongly recommend that you kind of brush up your concepts of on pandas data frame, because we'll be using that a lot throughout the course. Okay, so we'll be creating a blank data frame, right? And this blank data frame will be populated as we progress through the code. Okay, so let me run till this point, right? So let me run till here. Okay, so now if you see, it's we have a blank data frame called cl underscore price. The idea is that in this data frame I'll be storing closing prices for all the stocks. Okay, now it's straightforward. Now we'll simply loop through this particular list, right? We'll loop through this list. So in the first iteration, in the first pass through, the value of ticker will be Amazon. In the second, the value of ticker will be Microsoft. I'm pretty sure all of you know how loops work in Python, right? So we'll loop through this particular list, right? And in every loop, in every pass through, we will run the yf.download function that we discussed in the last class, right, in the last lecture video. And we will and we will save only the adjusted close value from that particular OHLC data frame. So I mean, if you don't understand it, let me show what happens, right? So right now, let's say the value of ticker is Amazon AMZN, right? So let's say ticker is AMZN, right? If the ticker is AMZN, right? This, uh, if I run just this much, what do you expect I will get? I expect that I'll get a data frame which will have 1 year of data of Amazon, right? So if I run this, you can see that I've got for Amazon open, high, low, close, adjusted close, and volume. But I want to store only adjusted close, right? So if I run this particular command, you will see that I'll only get adjusted close values for that particular stock. So I will perform the same step for every single stock using this loop, right? And I'll keep storing these series. If you have just one column of a data frame, that it's called a series, right? So I'll keep appending these series to the data frame that I had created, right? So I'll create every time I get a new series, right? I'll create a new column. The column's heading will be whatever is the ticker, so AMZN, Microsoft, INTC, right? And then we will store the adjusted close for that particular ticker. So let me quickly run this and show you how this will look, right? So this is running for all the stock. And now if I open my CL underscore price, you will see that I've got data for Amazon, Microsoft, INTC, Intel, Google, Infosys, and Bank of China, right? And you can see that I've got these values. So you'll see that there are some NaN values, and that's expected because on on certain days you'll see that uh, there is the data is missing or something. Like Yahoo also has some NaN values because it may not have data for that particular day. It can be because of a number of reasons, right? And in the next section we'll discuss how to handle these NaN values, so I wouldn't worry too much about them right now. Right now we mostly want to get the data into a data frame. which we have been able to do here. Okay, so that is what, so that is how you will be storing anything that you want. So if you want to store open prices, you can just do open, right? And then close or whatever, right? So whatever column you want to store, you can do that, right? In a blank, in a data frame, and then you can have a column for every ticker, right? So what if you want to kind of not just store closing prices, but you want to store the entire data frame, right? To do that, I would typically recommend that you create an empty dictionary, right? So you create an empty dictionary, and in this dictionary, we will be storing the entire data frame, right? I hope you know what is a dictionary. If you don't, please brush up your concepts, because again, I'll be using dictionary a lot in this course, right? So dictionary is a Python data structure wherein you store values as key value pairs, right? So as you may expect, I'll be storing key value pairs in OHLCV data. So the key would be the ticker and the value would be a data frame, right? So very similar to what we have done here. All that we'll have to do, right? All that we'll have to do here is that um, instead of CL price, we'll be storing data in OHLCV data, right? So we'll be storing here. Ticker is fine, and then here we'll be downloading the entire thing. Okay. Ticker start, and I think this should work. Let me quickly initiate this blank dictionary, and then let us run and see if there is any issue. So now you can see that I have got a dictionary, and in dictionary I have got 6 key value pairs. Key correspond to whatever ticker is there, and the value correspond to the relevant data frame. Okay, now if you want to access any data frame for any ticker, right? All that you'll have to do is simply, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of you know Python dictionary, but I'm just refreshing your memory in case you have not used it for a long time. So say I want to access data for Microsoft, you just have to run this, and then you will get Microsoft data. If you want to get just the open prices of Microsoft, simply do this, okay? And then you will only get the open prices for all the day for Microsoft. Okay, so this is how you can get data for a number of tickers using yfinance. Again, as you may appreciate, it's an extremely convenient and easy to use library, and I strongly recommend that you use yfinance to kind of extract data and proceed with your backtesting or code, right? uh, in the subsequent lecture videos, I'll discuss a number of other methods uh, by which you can get data for free in your in your system. But again, yfinance is my library of choice, and I would recommend that you use this. But again, like I said, we'll be discussing other methods as well, because libraries keep getting deprecated all the time. So right now, yfinance is working. So yfinance is the hottest thing in the market, but you never know what will happen tomorrow. I mean, Yahoo may do some changes, and then whoever created yfinance may stop supporting it. Something similar happened to Pandas data reader. But I assure you, if that happens, I'll create a new lecture video, and I'll do something. If there is another library that's there, I'll definitely create a lecture video. But as of now, uh, April 2020, yfinance is the hottest thing in the market, and I would recommend that you get fairly familiar with yfinance. I'll see you in the next lecture video with another Python library to get data to your system. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next lecture video.